with snow and cold rain likely for much of the day. We could even pick up a couple inches of snow accumulation if it's cold enough. Highs generally in the mid-30s. Saturday, partly sunny, highs in the upper 40s, and we'll see around 40 degrees for Sunday. I'm meteorologist Dan Zarrow.
Today's Ask the Mayor program is proudly brought to you by the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, building a better future for our region through strategic initiatives to reposition Atlantic City as a clean and safe, multifaceted, year-round destination and community. Atlantic City is ready to welcome the arrival of the spring season with exciting events like the 13th Annual Garden State Film Festival from March 19th through the 22nd, the Beer and Music Festival March 20th and 21st, and ACCC's Annual Restaurant Gala on March 26th. As March gives way to April, Atlantic City will welcome world-class entertainers such as the Moody Blues, the Beach Boys, Bob Dylan, and Jerry Seinfeld, along with the Atlantic City Antique Show, April Fool's Half Marathon, groundbreaking of the Beret Southeast Inlet Project, and the grand opening of Bass Pro Shops on Thursday, April 16th. Meanwhile, the CRDA continues to reinvest in Atlantic City by committing millions of dollars toward projects such as the Northeast Inlet Development, summer entertainment, the Borgata Nightclub Expansion Project, construction of new housing units, and the resumption of milling and paving along Pacific Avenue. It's great to be an AC.
Now, WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the Mayor, presented by the New Jersey Casino Reinvestment Development Authority. It's your opportunity to ask Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian anything you want about the world's playground. To talk to Mayor Guardian, call 407-1450. That's 407-1450. Now, with Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian, here's Harry Hurley.
Good evening. It's great to be with you. Welcome to another installment of Ask the Mayor. It's your monthly program where you pose your questions to Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian, who is here standing by, and we will welcome the mayor to his monthly program on Town Square, Atlantic City's WPG Talk Radio 1450. In just a moment, let me remind you, we're brought to you tonight by the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority. On behalf of our market president, Michael Rubel, our executive program director, Chris Coleman, our executive producer, and the digital editor does a fabulous job at Town Square, Atlantic City for all 5 of our radio stations, Kyle McCann, and our chief engineer, Tom McNally. I'm Harry Hurley, and it's an honor to be with you. This is a very special monthly hour plus that we get to spend together with Mayor Guardian, because talk about relevance. What is happening in Atlantic City right now? Obviously, the emergency manager, and remember, when we use that term, it is much different than what happened in Detroit. That got off to a bad start, and I think that Mayor Guardian, City Council, and all the different shareholders did a very good job showing that this is not Detroit. And I think at the end of the day, I don't know what's in the Lavin and Orr report, if you will, but I think you're going to see that everything that we have forecasted from the beginning will turn out to be true, and Atlantic City will prove that it should never have even been mentioned in a similar context as what went on in Detroit. I think the end of this situation is going to be very different, and obviously that report is due to the governor just a few days from now. We are streaming live right now at WPG1450.com, so you can both listen to and watch the program. You can send us your questions through email, through the website, WPG1450.com. You can send us a comment as well through Twitter. You can use the hashtag WPG Ask the Mayor, tweet your questions, and of course, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/WPG1450 and become a member. There's a big announcement coming up next week, and if you're a member of the 1450 Club, you'll get exclusive access to this breaking news announcement one day early. Thursday, May 26th, we're going to be breaking major news on Hurley in the Morning, a WPG Talk Radio 1450 blockbuster, and you can learn it on Wednesday, the day before, so stay tuned for that. Without further delay, and we'll get to your phone calls in a little bit at 609-407-1450, it's my pleasure to welcome to his program Atlantic City Mayor, the Honorable Don Guardian. Mr. Mayor, welcome. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Harry. Always great to be on WPG 1450 AM. How are you?
Very, very well. Give us an update. I want to give you, I always have questions, and our listeners always have questions ready for you, and you're always very accommodating to answer those. Let me give you an opportunity. Talk a little bit about what's been happening since we convened 1 month ago.
Okay, so obviously the big news is what you just discussed for the last few minutes. The two Kevins have met this morning. We met first we met in three groups so we could accommodate all of city council members, not having more than or not required by law in the room at the same time, and discussed in detail the report that the two Kevins will be presenting to the governor on Monday. And then the two Kevins took the opportunity to meet with our county executive, Denny Levinson, and I know that they were with Assemblyman Chris Brown as well. And I know yesterday they traveled up to Trenton to meet with Senator Sweeney's team to bring them up to date on their findings over the last 60 days.
So, Mayor, basically, I'm not saying you know the whole report, but you basically know what's going to happen, don't you?
Yes, Harry, and so do you. I'm going to tell you that I don't think there's going to be any surprises for anyone. You're going to see that they're verifying the severity of the cut in assessments from what was $20 billion down to 11.2 last year, and now down to 7.35, and the fact that the city and the Board of Education need to do lots of cutting, but unless we find $100 something million between the two of us that the state can help us out, including the bills, we're not going to have a good year. And you'll see that the two Kevins are going to be reporting back on their assessment and their recommendation for the bills that are before the Senate and the Assembly. Unfortunately, our Senate and Assembly break for spring recess, and so it means that we're not going to see these bills acted on until May. But they're recommending the bills, and then they're recommending some additional aid for the school. And I think it's just appropriate to wait for the governor on Monday. We're going to have, I believe, a press conference later on next week to announce the details. But we'll talk about additional aid for the schools, with schools, of course, cutting $20 million. And then they'll talk about the city and the $30 million that we cut, and an additional $10 million that we plan to cut this year for this particular budget. They're going to talk about several different programs besides the contra aid, the essential services, and the transitional aid that we know are available for the city. And then the two Kevins are going to make some recommendations for 2016 and beyond on some of the taxes that are currently collected that flow directly to Trenton, that they're going to be recommending flow to the city. So, make no mistake, the city needs to do its part. We need to be continuing to cut and become efficient. The Board of Education needs to, but I think in big detail the dollars that we're talking about, and it offers the governor a myriad of different ways to get us there, and in excess of the amount of money we need. So it gives the governor the opportunity and gives Senator Sweeney the opportunity to be supportive as they have been for the last year.
It is 9 minutes past the hour. You're listening to the mayor of Atlantic City, Don Guardian, on a Town Square Atlantic City exclusive, our monthly program, Ask the Mayor, with Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian. It's Harry Hurley. You can jump in just a little bit. We have a few more questions and a lot of important information we want to impart right up front during the program. But please, you're never shy. Call in during the hour. 609-407-1450 phone lines are open. Email your question, and Kyle and Chris Coleman will get it to me during the hour at WPGG1450.com. And as we say, you can tweet it as well using the hashtag WPG Ask the Mayor. A lot of ways you can reach the program, and we hope you're either listening or enjoying watching tonight. And again, thanks to Kyle McCann for the great job that he does producing this program every month. Mayor, I'm trying to do this very delicately in a way that does not, betray anything that folks have agreed to. I know the way that Kevin Lavin works. I know the way that Kevin Orr works. They do their work very well. They communicate very well. But every jurisdiction I've ever seen them in, they like no loose lips. So until the report comes out, I know there's certain things you can't talk about. But we did this morning on Hurley in the Morning break what I believe is an exclusive. And if I could ask your indulgence here, that maybe this could be commented on without betraying anything that is not for public consumption right now, but that will be in a very near future. But I did reveal this morning through well-placed sources, Mayor, that layoffs are in the future. For the longest time, and I ask this question almost every episode of Ask the Mayor and every time you're on Hurley in the Morning, and I remember through attrition, you were hoping to accomplish certain things. It is my belief that this attrition will not be enough and that there will actually be layoffs. Can you answer true or false and comment on that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. No, they're absolutely true. It's not fair to be broadcast on the radio people that are going to be laid off before we notify them. I think the layoffs that we're talking about, for the most part, are individuals that we really believe are not going to affect any services. There's going to be no difference by not having some of them work for us. In other cases, I can tell you that the AFSCME, which is the federal union, and the beach lifeguards in particular, we're looking at having the 11 districts, the 11 Kent, manned by lieutenants, not by captains. So we'll, and then we'll the whole beach, which
Mayor, I know you're on a cell phone. Try to move just a little bit one way or the other, and we're going to get you back loud and clear. And go back just about 20 seconds if you can. I heard Beach Patrol, and I heard something about the fire department, but both got cut off on the digital connection. If you could start again right there.
Yep, absolutely. So Beach Patrol, we're talking about not and bringing back 14 lifeguards. That's out of the 160 total that are there. We will obviously have lieutenants at every district, which is every 10 on the beach. I don't mind saying that because that's not a layoff. We hire these people of individuals working that. And there's one section I can tell you, Harry, has to do with our dispatch. Once the county establishes a countywide dispatch, which we do not believe will happen until the end of 16 or 17, then there'll be 52 people that are currently working in dispatch. So either be working for the county, or because of seniority, they'll be relocated in a vacancy that we have in city government.
Hey, Mayor, without saying any of the positions, because I respect that, and I think it's decent, and I think it's professional, and it's the right way to do it. Do you know the total number of employees that will be laid off?
No, I don't know at this time. I have to be honest with you, Harry, and I'll tell you why. The 150 through attrition that have occurred, we anticipate another 50 by June 30th. And those are the big savings. For the people through attrition, they are averaging way above $100,000 a person. So that's the real savings, $100,000 plus the savings with the benefits. But of course, you don't see them this year because pay out additional unit leave the services of the city. They get paid penalty. So we're not going to see that till 2016. You see those attrition, but we're talking about 15, 17 million less in 2016. You don't see more than a few $1 million savings this year because either they were, or because they had accrued vacation, other accrued time, or terminal leave.
Hey, Mayor, not counting the 52 dispatchers that will either be absorbed by the new county central dispatch or however that will go down by, as you say, 2017 or whenever that will be, will the number of layoffs in your estimation, not counting those, be more than 100 or less than 100?
About 100 is what I think is the magic number.
And that's not counting the 52?
Not counting the 52.
Okay, that's very generous, Mayor. I didn't know that we could even go that far, and I appreciate it. Let's open up the phone lines with Mayor Don Guardian. It's your turn to ask the mayor. 609-407-1450 phone lines are open. Fran, say hello to Mayor Don Guardian. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mayor. I wonder if you could clarify a rumor that I've heard in the city that CREDA will no longer be funding any more projects. financially funding.
Sure. Okay, so there's a couple things going to happen. The two Kevins are making recommendations back to the governor. In the plan that Senator Sweeney had developed, the bill that he was presenting, it called for the IATs, those investment alternative taxes that casinos currently pay to CRDA. That's 1.25 of gross gaming revenue for those IATs to be given to the city. I know that one of the alternate recommendations is to split that, to have 50% of the IATs continue to CRDA. And I can give you both sides of the story. And the Sweeney side of the story says, listen, the Senate and the legislature have just passed a new legislation in the fall of last year that brings Atlantic City into the same class as Camden, Patterson, Passaic, and Trenton, and it means that 40% of all new development is going to be paid by this New Jersey Grow program. It amounts to about $15,000 for every new job that you create every year for 10 years. And so the senator said, this is more than this is that's being provided the RDA funds. And the feeling is that there's the project from the college to Bass Pro to the in all of them have been funded in part either with grant or with a loan from CRDA. So we have to wait to see in May. And that's why I'm going to tell you everything is going to be crystal clear. It's going to be end of May, early June. So you'll see what the bills are going to be if the bills pass, what the aid the state's going to be giving us, and then what the budget of the city's going to be. And it'll be, several hundred pages, but it'll be extremely detailed. There'll be nothing hidden for that. So I'm not trying to avoid your question about CRDA. It all depends on how the bill is going to be amended or not amended, and if it's passed when the legislature meets, which is the Senate and the Assembly sometime in May.
Fran, thank you very much for your question. We're going to go to Mike, and you can be next at 609-407-1450. It's 18 minutes past the hour. Hurley in the evening, along with Mayor Don Guardian. It is Ask the Mayor, our exclusive monthly visit with Mayor Don Guardian. Oh, let me remind you, just for your planning purposes, that we will next convene on Tuesday, April 21st in the 6 o'clock hour. That will be the April edition of Ask the Mayor, starring Mayor Don Guardian. Mike, you're on the air with the mayor. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon. Good evening, gentlemen. This plan that they're coming out with the emergency managers, what does it do for guys like me? The taxpayers are getting clobbered over the head every year. Is it going to lower the taxes any at all in the city?
Okay, so the shortage right now is $100 million, another $45 million in the school district just because of the low assessments from casinos. So everyone has the same goal, no increase in taxes for 2018. That is a stretch for us to get there with no new taxes. You're not going to see a tax decrease until 2016. But we're all committed to no new taxes from the school, from the library, from the municipality this year.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Have a great night. Thanks for listening to WPG Talk Radio 1450 and Ask the Mayor with Mayor Don Guardian. We're going to take a brief time out. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes if you have a question. Dial us up now, 609-407-1450. Phone lines are open. Email the question to WPG1450.com right through our website. You can do it over Twitter by tweeting using hashtag WPG Ask the Mayor. And while you're at it, take a moment and like us on Facebook and also sign up for the 1450 Club at WPG1450.com. Back with Mayor Don Guardian and Ask the Mayor on Town Square, Atlantic City. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The WPG Talk Radio 1450 newsletter is yet another way South Jersey's talk station keeps you informed. Get the latest South Jersey news, community events, information on fun contests, links to exclusive YouTube videos, and more delivered right to your inbox.
Now that I've gotten on the internet, I'd rather be on my computer than doing just about anything.
To sign up for the WPG Talk Radio 1450 newsletter, simply go to WPG1450.com.
Today's Ask the Mayor program is proudly brought to you by the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, building a better future for our region through strategic initiatives to reposition Atlantic City as a clean and safe, multifaceted year-round destination and community. Atlantic City is ready to welcome the arrival of the spring season with exciting events like the 13th Annual Garden State Film Festival from March 19th through the 22nd, the Beer and Music Festival March 20th and 21st, and ACCC's Annual Restaurant Gala on March 26th. As March gives way to April, Atlantic City will welcome world-class entertainers such as the Moody Blues, the Beach Boys, Bob Dylan, and Jerry Seinfeld, along with the Atlantic City Antique Show, April Fool's Half Marathon, groundbreaking of the Beret Southeast Inlet Project, and the grand opening of Bass Pro Shops on Thursday, April 16th. Meanwhile, the CRDA continues to reinvest in Atlantic City by committing millions of dollars toward projects such as the Northeast Inlet Development, Summer Entertainment, the Borgata Nightclub Expansion Project, construction of new housing units, and the resumption of milling and paving along Pacific Avenue. It's great to be an AC.
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the Mayor, presented by the New Jersey Casino Reinvestment Development Authority. To talk to Mayor Guardian, call 407-1450. Now, with Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian, here's Harry Hurley.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Ask the Mayor. It's your opportunity to pose your questions to Mayor Don Guardian of the World's Playground, which is WPG, of course. It's true. And we're brought to you by the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, building a better future for Atlantic City. The Casino Reinvestment Development Authority is proud to support today's Ask the Mayor program right here on WPG Talk Radio 1450. And again, feel free to jump in, 609-407-14. Prioritize your calls, your tweets, your emails. It's what the whole program is about. It's your opportunity to ask the mayor. So please give us a call, 609-407-1450. The mayor will be here till a few minutes past the top of the hour. Mayor, this morning on Early in the Morning on WPG, a listener, Eric, was highly critical of the condition of a lot of the Atlantic City roads, and he was specific to note beyond just normal potholes. I promised him that I would make a priority out of his question with the fact that we would be doing your show tonight. What can you say about the condition of the roads and your plans to improve them, when and where possible? Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I hear you now. I didn't hear you a moment ago. Were you able to hear the question? Mayor?
I am here.
Okay, were you able to hear the question?
Yes, I was.
Okay, time is yours.
Yes. So what I wanted... this.
Mayor, if you can move a little bit, that digital connection is failing us a little bit.
Any better?
It's perfect now. Go. By the way, for those listening, the mayor is in our nation's capital right now. He has always been in here in studio. So we apologize if, digital connections are great, but once in a while, you're going to have a little hiccup. Mayor, go right ahead, please. Mayor? Okay. Go.
Bungalow Park and Venice Park, all of those roads were repaved this year. We repaved more roads in Atlantic City in 2014 than we have in the last 10 years combined.
Wow.
Now, we also did Arctic Avenue. Most of the side streets got repaved this year. This coming year, 15, as soon as the asphalt plants open, you will see all of Pacific Avenue finally get repaved. And Maryland Avenue from Golden Nugget, which is Huron Avenue, all the way back to Atlantic Avenue, will be repaved. Whatever on Arctic Avenue is not repaved gets repaved, and most of Baltic Avenue. There's never been more paving than has been done last year, and this year, 50% of the entire city will be repaved by the fall of this year. Now, we still have potholes. This was a tough year for potholes because of the amount of snow, the ice, the freezing conditions and things. And we're out there with, a pothole patrol, but that's just temporary. It's the repaving of the roads that we're committed to.
Mayor, we're going to go back to the phone lines. The listener had a specific street as well, and that one you didn't name yet, so I'm going to just throw it out there. Fairmount Avenue. Can you say anything about Fairmount Avenue?
Fairmont Avenue is going to have the gas lines ripped up in the summer and in the fall. It'll be repaved temporarily. Some of Fairmont Avenue has been bumped up, meaning that they've done the work underneath the street, but they were not able to pave it in time once the asphalt froze.
Mayor, let me go ahead. Finish, please. Go.
And so the point is that you'll see that that roadway is going to be finished and then be completely repaved. That's Fairmont Avenue.
Good. That's what he was talking about. He said his truck is just getting absolutely crushed.
He's absolutely correct. Fairmont is in bad shape, and so is Pacific.
All right, Eric, if you're listening, I made a promise to you. Promise is made, promise is kept, and you got a straight answer from a guy who always gives you a direct answer to a direct question. Mayor, at some point during the hour, I'm going to ask this. Let me just get it out there now. I understand it's obviously a personnel matter. It is a story that I broke on Hurley in the Morning. We did it with dignity. Obviously, it's a very, it's an unusual type of incident. But it's also, beyond being a personnel issue with a high-ranking city official, it's obviously a very public matter as well because of the nature of the incident. So I know this is tricky because you're the mayor. It's a direct report. It's a personnel matter. But it also is an extremely, publicized public matter at the present time. Can you make a comment about Fire Chief Dennis Brooks?
Certainly. So there was an incident, I believe it was the last snow day. There were accusations that were made by several individuals that were present, and then there was a video camera in two different locations that recorded the particular incident. I'll say this like I say to everyone else. In the United States, you're innocent until proven guilty. Normally, when you have something that occurs with police or fire, you normally have the same lawyer that's assigned to the patrols do the investigation. But that individual usually has a great and warm reputation and relationship with police chief and fire chief. So I did not believe that we could have a fair investigation using existing counsel. And so we brought in independent counsel to conduct the investigation. And I'll say again, yes, I've seen the video, and I know many people have seen the video too, but it has to be part of the total investigation. When it's completed, if the accusations are correct, it's a behavior that is unbecoming of a uniformed officer and certainly of a key leadership officer, and we'll announce the disciplinary action that will take place. And you'll see that in a couple of days. We're not stonewalling anyone. We're not going to come back in a couple of months. This was a pretty simple investigation.
And Mayor, for anyone that's wondering if a rank and file uniformed public safety officer had done the same thing, would they have been put out with pay, or would they have been put out without pay? Is there any reason for anybody to have sort of questions about this?
Yeah, no, they shouldn't. If it was a rank and file member, based on the accusations were not serious enough to have an individual suspended without pay. But in light of that, the investigation is going to be very quick, and I think you'll find out that it's going to become a moot point. The period of time that is with pay once we reach the conclusion.
And fair enough. And I just have one quick follow-up on it. Is there any possibility that, based on what we know, because we've seen the video, everybody's seen the video, I mean, it's very unambiguous. There's not even like maybe something happened. It happened. There, it could be put in context why it happened, what led up to it that it happened, but there's no question it happened because I saw it with my own eyes. Having said that, could this rise to a criminal act, or will this end as a civil matter?
I don't have the answer for you, Harry, but I do believe it's a civilian matter.
Okay. All right. Well, in fairness, that's asked and that's answered. That's more than I could have hoped for, and with something that is still ongoing. Mayor, turning sights to Atlantic City, Revel, this thing goes, it's like breaking our hearts, on again, off again, sold, no, it's not, sold again, no, it's not, sold a third time, no, it's not. It was very close to actually being sold. Are we now, have we crossed the Rubicon where Revel will not be open this summer, or maybe never again? It might be liquidated. What do you have any insight on this?
I tell you what, Harry. Things are happening this week that will make a major implication of what happens with Revel.
Okay.
And over the weekend, I will be happy to chat with you.
Okay, good.
on the findings there. But I had said before, you can ask me anything in the city. I have no idea what to tell you about Revel and how difficult this property is. And, everyone and their brother has reminded me that we ripped down a Catholic church to build this casino, and maybe it's on an Indian burial ground, because it certainly has been one troubled, beautiful but troubled piece of property. I was on my wits' end last week, but I think things have broken this week that may give us a positive result.
Good. We'll follow up on that when it's appropriate. In terms of the old Atlantic Club, the former First Golden Nugget, obviously before the new Marina District Golden Nugget, is there anything moving there, Mayor?
Yeah, no, same owners. The individuals that came in and said they wanted to take 5 to 10 stories on the top and do a condo-tel, open up as a hotel, put a bridge across the boardwalk, put in a beach bar, and then open up a very lively entertainment district, music-wise. Those people.
Mayor, take a little move with your cell phone again, because that was working good. Wherever you were before, it was beautiful.
Okay, TJM. They still own it. They are still in negotiations with the people that were announced several months ago, and they're in due diligence. So you should be able to hear something within the next couple of weeks.
Outstanding. Let's go back to the phone lines. Ralph is checking in to speak with Mayor Don Guardian. Hey, Ralph, is that you? Sorry for the hold there. Are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm still here.
I'm happy to hear that. You are on with Mayor Don Guardian. Go right ahead.
All right, Mayor, what I would like to know, I've heard so much about maybe there might be police and fire personnel laid off. Could I put any credence into that? What's the story?
Sure. So we'll start with the police. The police have, through attrition, agreed to a reduction from 330 officers to 285 officers. I believe they're at 287 or 288 as we speak today. They will be at the 285 number by the end of next month. And so we already have approved for our police chief to start the process to open up the invitation to register to become a police officer, and to immediately start that application. That obviously is not only an application, but going to the police academy and passing that, and that's about a 9-month period. So we've already started that. We will not go below 285 police officers. We also approved an additional 30 Class 2 officers. So we had 30 Class 2 officers last year. By July 4th, we'll have 60 Class 2 officers. I know we have a class that we're putting together now of about 40, and I know we had over 200 applications, the majority from Atlantic City residents. And so the chief is very comfortable that you'll have your 60 Class 2 police officers walking or bicycling Boardwalk Pacific, Atlantic Avenue specifically, by July 4th of this summer. So that's the police department. No additional layoffs. The police are now reorganizing. They just brought in a new what's called a CAD system. It's a new computerized system that is going to be tracking crime in real time and then actually changing deployment of officers based on that information, as opposed to the old way, which was just patrol cars in certain neighborhoods. So the police department is good at 285 with 60 Class 2 officers.
Appreciate the call, Ralph. Thanks for checking in with Don Guardian, Mayor Don Guardian, Ask the Mayor. And next up is Will checking in on Ask the Mayor. Will, welcome to the program. Your question for the mayor.
Yes, my question is that, in the private world of private business, most people have 401ks. Companies can no longer afford this defined pension plans. We have a fire chief that I read is making $220,000, and he's now on paid leave because of an incident.
We just talked about it.
And we have police chiefs making $250,000 and with pensions that are almost that high. When are you going to be able to renegotiate these pensions? Is it going to take going into bankruptcy for Atlantic City to renegotiate these? New Jersey has the highest paid police in the country, and when are you going to be able to renegotiate?
All right, well, thanks for the question. Mayor, first of all, that's not true, but go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, so first of all, I want to tell you that for police, it's 5 years ago, and same thing with fire. The new contracts, the collective bargaining agreements that were reached 5 years ago, limit all of those excesses that have occurred in the past for both police and fire. And I'm going to be off a couple of $1,000s when I say this because I'm just standing here, but police and fire start at 45. They have to go through several tiers in order to move up. It takes 10 years, and they max out at about $90,000. And when they retire, their total unused amount can only be $15,000. So, in the 15-year note, that problem is solved. The issues you're discussing, though, is with the rank and file and officers that have been hired more than 5 years ago. And I talked about the police. Let me talk about fire. We had our current fire chief, as well as a retired fire chief that was hired and funded by the Chamber of Commerce, and then a separate fire chief that was funded by the Department of Community Affairs. And all three of them were asked to determine what's the right size of our fire department and what should salaries and benefits be compared with the other fire departments in New Jersey. They all came in about the same, including the total number that they said was needed. Our firefighter union disagrees with that. We were not able to find a solution, and so we've gone to arbitration. The first part of that arbitration will occur at the end of this month, but it'll be settled by May 23rd. So you'll see salaries and size for fire, and then once that's set, it will really take place for everyone else. But you're correct. It's not so much the salaries that our police and fire have. I'd argue that they are indeed within a reasonable amount, both with the public sector in New Jersey as well as the private sector, but some of the excess is on some of the other funding that they receive. The
exactly. Longevity, the unused sick pay. And the truth is, this has already been fixed. If you think about it, to take 10 years to get to top pay, when it used to take 3 years, then it went to 7, now it's to 10. And Mayor, while I'm thinking about it, Ralph checked back in and he said, Harry, the mayor didn't answer my question about the fire department. Are there going to be any layoffs in the fire department, Mayor?
Okay.
I thought you did answer, but he said you didn't.
Yeah, I'll say it again. What happened is all three fire chiefs that made recommendations came in between 150 and 185 firefighters that they feel is the right number for our fire department. Our fire department had last year 210 funded positions. This year they have 185, but then there's the 50 Safer grant. So right now we have 50 fire officers more than all three recommend. At this point, I have to say, I don't have the authority to talk about it to anyone anymore because we've agreed to go to arbitration. So we'll go to arbitration and we'll let the arbitrators determine what the right size of the fire department is, and that's going to determine it. But in my mind, 185 is what we need right now.
I want to share with the listener, I did a little bit of homework since the listener brought up that they're the highest paid in the country. I'll give you 9 states that are higher paid than New Jersey. Now, keep in mind, Atlantic City isn't the highest in New Jersey. So this is even understated because I'm ranking the whole state, which would include state police and other departments that pay more in the northern portion of the state and so on and so forth. But Maryland, pays more than New Jersey pays. California pays more than New Jersey pays. Illinois pays more than New Jersey pays. Connecticut is number 6. I'll keep going. Number 5 is Minnesota. Number 4 is Oregon. Who'd have thought that? Oregon pays more than in New Jersey. Number 3 is Washington. That's Washington State. Number 2 is Utah. And the highest paid in the nation, Colorado. New Jersey is 10th. You could say that's in the upper, if you want to say third or upper, 1/5, but certainly not number 1. Not even close. Number 10. Facts matter. Mayor Don Guardian continues his Ask the Mayor on WPG Talk Radio 1450. I knew that statement was wrong. I just wanted to look it up to prove just how wrong it was.
Visit the WPG Talk Radio 1450 YouTube channel through WPG1450.com to access exclusive video content from South Jersey's talk station. Watch every episode of Ask the Mayor with Don Guardian and Ask the Congressman with Frank Lobiondo on demand. Plus, see videos from Harry Hurley.
Tonight will feature major breaking news, Dateline Atlantic City,
and more. Subscribe to the WPG Talk Radio 1450 YouTube channel today.
Today's Ask the Mayor program is proudly brought to you by the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, building a better future for our region through strategic initiatives to reposition Atlantic City as a clean and safe, multifaceted year-round destination and community. Atlantic City is ready to welcome the arrival of the spring season with exciting events like the 13th Annual Garden State Film Festival from March 19th through the 22nd, the Beer and Music Festival March 20th and 21st, and ACCC's Annual Restaurant Gala on March 26th. As March gives way to April, Atlantic City will welcome world-class entertainers such as the Moody Blues, the Beach Boys, Bob Dylan, and Jerry Seinfeld, along with the Atlantic City Antique Show, April Fool's Half Marathon, groundbreaking of the Beret Southeast Inlet Project, and the grand opening of Bass Pro Shops on Thursday, April 16th. Meanwhile, the CRDA continues to reinvest in Atlantic City by committing millions of dollars toward projects such as the Northeast Inlet Development, Summer Entertainment, the Borgata Nightclub Expansion Project, construction of new housing units, and the resumption of milling and paving along Pacific Avenue. It's great to be an AC.
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the Mayor, presented by the New Jersey Casino Reinvestment Development Authority. To talk to Mayor Guardian, call 407-1450. Now, with Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian, here's Harry Hurley.
Hey, thank you very much. And as always is the case, Mayor Guardian's program just flies by. I was just saying to our executive producer that a lot of news has been made tonight because Mayor Don Guardian is an honest man. He's an honest broker. And he's not afraid to take the tough questions. If he can answer it, he will. And even when he can't, I never feel like he's being evasive, because he will always tell you, when I can, I will get back to you. And when he says, I will get back to you this weekend, he will get back to me. He will text me or he will call me. And his level of communication is really, it's necessary in these challenging times, but it is extremely refreshing. Let me share a comment from a colleague, and then we'll get back to your calls after the mayor responds to this briefly, because it is something that Mayor Guardian and I have spoken about on Hurley in the Morning and also on Ask the Mayor. But a Town Square Media colleague in another part of the state, and I hope Tom is listening tonight, Tom, because absolutely, we are colleagues and we are very collegial, around here at Town Square Media. And anytime somebody wants to pose a question, I'm happy to do it. And what my colleague was wondering about, Mayor Guardian, is what you and I have talked about in the past, and Tom just is not aware of it, but he will be right now, because we're going to specifically answer his question. There is no comparison between the work that Kevin Orr did and the work that Kevin Lavin and Kevin Orr are doing in Atlantic City in terms of the work that Kevin Orr did in Detroit. Actually, I think it's an honest statement to say, Mayor, they couldn't be more different.
That is absolutely correct. So the job that Kevin Orr had as the emergency manager in Detroit was to take over the role of both the mayor and city council. He not only ran the city, he also provided the city going into bankruptcy and then coming out of bankruptcy. So in that particular case, and because of that state, because of Michigan, they had the authority to do this. And it's why, Harry, we've talked about it. This has been devastating for us because of the title of emergency manager, because everyone assumed that they were taking over the city and they were driving it into bankruptcy. And it's just not correct. And I'll make the biggest difference between Detroit and Atlantic City. Detroit had their own pension plan, their own health plans. In New Jersey, municipalities have both of those with the state. So we can never invade the pension plan of our employees. It's done on a state level. And I'm not trying to argue the problem that has occurred for the state. I'm just saying that that's the big difference here. The second part of it is they came here to review and to verify. You know, I've said this before, Governor is clearly acting like a Reagan Republican. He's trusted us in what we said. Now he's verifying the information that he trusted us with. And so the two Kevins, along with, a slew of CPAs, are making sure that the information, that the dollars that are coming in, that are not coming in, the assessed values, the expenses, are all indeed what we have been saying. And number two is they are acting on the city's behalf. Although they're not paid by the city, these two guys could not be more supportive of helping the city find their way out of this financial situation. And when I say that, I'm not talking about casinos. I certainly am talking about casinos because they're property payers. But I'm talking about the business people that are property payers, the residents in Atlantic City that pay a residential property tax, and for that matter, every resident of Atlantic City. And because Atlantic City plays a huge part in the county, it really affects the county taxpayers as well, and the county taxes. So the two individuals here I see as just additional tools in our tool belt in helping Atlantic City find its way out of this financial crisis that we're in.
And I want to thank the News Bureau Chief, through Chris Coleman to me, from Town Square Media in our Monmouth Ocean County cluster, for his participation, value added in tonight's program. I'd like to add one thing to that, Mayor, and I know you know these numbers, but I want our listeners on Ask the Mayor with Don Guardian to also know this. The largest bankruptcy filing in American history prior to Detroit was a county in Alabama, Jefferson County, and it was a $4 billion filing in 2011. Detroit was an $18 to $20 billion issue. We're talking about in Atlantic City, we have a problem that's under 200 million and probably not all that much more than 100 million. Fair comment, Mayor?
Yeah, absolutely fair comment.
So, I mean, we're not even talking about the same planet, the same solar system. It's not even close. I mean, Kevin, that's why when people said, oh, you bring in guys that do bankruptcy, this is going to go bankruptcy. Wait until everybody finds out. I'm not going to say it because I don't know it, but I feel it. This isn't going that way, okay? I'm willing to say that. In my belief, and I said it this morning, we're not going that way. And I never felt like we were going that way. And just because guys have the skill sets to do a Chapter 9 municipal type reorganization or bankruptcy doesn't mean that that's what they always do. And I think we're going to see that prove out here. But I think there's a big difference between a city that was hemorrhaging in debt by about $20 billion and a town that I think when it all shakes out, it might be about $110 million issue that we're talking about, a far cry difference. Mayor, let me ask you about the performance of our beloved casinos, because I was really so jumping for joy. I was real about it, saying that it's only 1 month, the month of January, but for the 8 casinos to do as much business, January of 2015 versus January of 2014, I was just overjoyed about that. But then I said, hey, let's wait till February. And of course, February 2015 versus February 2014, we're down a little over 15%. I'm not a man that's, built by making excuses, and I know you're not either. But I think the weather had an awful lot to do with that. What are your thoughts about February?
Absolutely. You never have me trying to find excuses. I just come out with saying it's good or bad. But I have to agree with you on this one. When we were both in the casino industry, a fifth Saturday or a fifth Sunday made all the difference in the world from one year to the next. And certainly the wintertime, all you had to do was think snow in either Philadelphia or New York, and it was a terrible weekend for Atlantic City. We had a ton of snow in freezing weather. When it wasn't, if you were in Atlantic City this February on weekends, everything was hopping. You couldn't get into restaurants. You couldn't get on the casino floor. We haven't seen these types of crowds for a really long time. But the bottom line is the snow and the weak, meaning Sunday through Thursday, showed us a disappointing final tally on total revenue. And I'm going to be with you, Harry, I'm looking to see what March is going to be, and we'll see. We only have to equal last year to be way ahead because you're dividing the total gaming revenue by 8 instead of by 12.
Yeah, but when the total revenue of the 8 was equal to the total revenue of the 12 the year before for January, that I thought was a beautiful thing, Mayor.
Yes, absolutely. And it was, I'll say this too, is I know that Mr. Icahn is coming out of I shouldn't say, I'm sorry, the Taj Mahal is coming out of bankruptcy, the Trump organization. And it seems to be obvious that Mr. Icahn is going to become the new owner. I have to tell you that if Mr. Icahn, and I do believe he will, does to the Taj what he did to the Tropicana, the Taj in a year from now is going to be a hot spot just like Borgata and Harrah's and Golden Nugget and Resort and Tropicana, the places that put $100 million in. He's got a great facility there, and $100 million is going to turn it back into a gem on the boardwalk.
We're at 52 minutes past the hour. You're listening to Mayor Don Guardian. It's his monthly program right here with you on WPG Talk Radio 1450. Harry Hurley, host of the Hurley in the Morning program, weekdays right here on WPG Talk Radio 1450. I will tell you that if you've missed some of tonight's program, very, very quickly, our team, Kyle and Chris and everybody, will have it up on our YouTube channel at WPG1450.com. So it will be on demand anytime you either want to hear something or if you thought you heard something, go back and you can listen to it again and again. And also, this broadcast will replay during the Best of Hurley in the Morning Sunday package from noon to 4 every Sunday is 4 hours of our broadcast week that Chris Coleman selects. And it's the Best of format for 4 hours on Sunday from noon to 4, the 12 noon hour. Whenever Mayor Guardian appears, the very next Saturday, 12 noon to 1 o'clock, will be this broadcast in an instant classic replay in the Best of 12 noon this Sunday on WPG1450.com and on WPG Talk Radio 1450 terrestrial radio. And of course, you can listen right from the website, WPG1450.com, or on the Town Square Media special app that we have. It's our own app. We're not on that busy app that a lot of stations all pile on, and you have to look them up alphabetically. We have our own Town Square Media application for your smartphone. So go to your Apple store, your iTunes store, or your Android marketplace, and you can, for free, download it doesn't even take a minute or so, the Town Square Media application called Radio Pup, P-U-P, Radio Pup. Pretty little doggy as the icon on your wallpaper on the front of your phone. You can put it right there in a speed button icon. Mayor Guardian, in terms of how things are going, I don't think the challenges could have been any more significant. What's the morale like at City Hall when people don't know, am I getting a pink slip or not? What's the morale like these days?
Well, I can tell you that I think with the police department, it's very, very good. We had a afternoon luncheon program that Elizabeth Terenek dedicated just to public safety. And of course, we had a record turnout of people that came out, and they saw all of the successes of the police department in terms of reducing crime, and in terms of reducing the numbers of internal affair complaints, the drastic reduction in tort claims, and even the reduction in canine use for apprehensions. And so, our police department, I think, is very excited because they know they went from, a year and a half ago, the Department of Justice and the Attorney General wanting to take it over to a year ago. The governor wanted to blow it up to today now being touted as one of the most ongoing, newest police departments in the state of New Jersey, with programs that other police departments are now asking to copy. So I think it's real good there. I have to tell you, my public works guys have just been doing a really, really good job. They've plowed and cleaned like they've never done before. The amount of cleaning, and you'll see it now in the springtime when we're back on the streets, with the scrubbing of the streets is really, really good. They just took over recycling this week. And so instead of picking up recycling once every 2 weeks, never knowing when that 2-week cycle was, is it the second Thursday, the fifth Thursday of the month? Now, whenever you pick up trash, you put up your recycling. I think you'll see a drastic increase in what we're doing. The city took it over. It's actually saving cost immediately for the city. And then we're picking up recycling 3 times a week on what we call our funds, which is Atlantic, Pacific, Arctic, and Baltic. If you're in an area and you're sitting there and you're not doing anything, if you have trouble telling me at the end of the day what services you provide for the city that you can be proud of, then I can tell you pretty much you should be worried that we're going to find you and we're going to eliminate your job.
57 minutes past the hour. We've got about 8 minutes left with tonight's program with Mayor Guardian, Ask the Mayor. And for your planning purposes, our next Ask the Mayor program is set for Tuesday, April 21st at 6 p.m. And this is a program that we just receive a lot of really good feedback about how much the public appreciates the candor and also the information. And this is what Town Square, this is the Town Square. This is what Town Square Media is all about. And you can jump in right now to prove that point by dialing 609-407-1450 or send your question through Twitter or through Facebook or through Harry Hurley at AOL.com or WPG1450.com, and we'll get your question right to the mayor. Mayor, you hear this all the time. I know for a fact that for 25 seasons, this will be my 25th summer on air. I know I have said it every single year, even in the best of times. The summer is so vitally important in Atlantic City, but obviously now more than ever. How critical do you believe this summer is for our fair city?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt anyone up and down Jersey saw Atlantic City as the absolute entertainment capital of the Jersey Shore last year, with both the paid and the free programs that we offered on the beach, on the boardwalk and boardwalk hall, and each of the casinos, the DJs in the clubs, the back day concerts. You're going to see that level of excitement this summer as well. It's tough because the ACA doesn't know what funding they have, or for that matter, if they're going to exist after the end of July. But I can tell you we're working on the air show, the fireworks, concerts on the beach, free concerts on the boardwalk, free concerts back at the basin. You can see already the lineup for Boardwalk Hall looks terrific, and top-end DJs in all of the big clubs in casinos, as well as the large casino rooms. So summer is critical. We're going to be out there where we are now trying to come up with the concept of open containers on the boardwalk as a pilot, July 4th to Labor Day. And I say that because it's a street that has no vehicular traffic. So it seems to be a safe area. People have been clamoring for this for a real long time. Lots of other cities do it successfully. We think we're going to be introducing this for this summer. If we're wrong, if this is a detriment to the city, it'll sunset on Labor Day, and we'll say, we made a mistake. But I don't think so. And right now, we're just going through what the legislation and the ordinances are in places like New Orleans and like Las Vegas to see if we can provide a safe environment, but a fun environment so you can buy a libation and enjoy walking down the boardwalk.
Mayor, it's an interesting concept. I'm curious to see how that will prove out in terms of public safety and some things like that, rowdiness or anything like that if it gets out of hand. But if you think about it, it wasn't all that long ago where beach bars, people were clamoring for beach bars. It seemed unimaginable to me. I don't imbibe myself, but I'm very open to the fact that when people come to a destination resort, when they go to islands or they go to beach, destination resorts, it was really unthinkable that there weren't beach bars. They have been incredibly successful, Mayor.
Yeah, very, very successful. Obviously, they don't attract homeless and people that are just there to be inebriated. It's a fun environment. And I'd have to argue a place like Bungalow down on California Avenue is about as close as Miami Beach or even Ipanema Beach down in Brazil that you're going to find. Very classy, very upscale, well-dressed men and women, probably one of the classiest bars in or out, and this one happens to be on the beach. So, yeah, I think they've proven to us that you can set the standard and the stage to create a very nice environment.
If you had to say, and I don't expect you to, you're not Kreskin or, the amazing Karnak, but if you had to guess, if you had to project, when do you think it all settles down where every day is not a crisis, every day isn't, the next thing closing, or when can this reopen or can it reopen? When do you think it all settles down? When taxes become stable? Because my theory is this: while we're in sort of a state of just crisis, it doesn't inspire confidence. It does not inspire investment. But when we finally shake out and know and I think we're close, when we know the size of the gaming jurisdiction, for example, I think then people can say, all right, now I'm ready to put my capital, budget back into my line items. We know we're going to be here. We know this is settled down. Obviously, there's this threat of the ballot question for November 3rd of this year about casinos in the Meadowlands. I think that's disastrous, and I think you and I are on the same page regarding that. But when do you think it all settles down?
So I think by the end of the summer 2015, we're stabilized in Atlantic City. And I think you start seeing the excitement of the university opening up and then their future expansion. And I think you'll find by the summertime that we're a lot closer to developer for Beta Field and for the Gardner's Basin, the boardwalk, seawall in the inlet starts. And so I think you'll see the excitement going there. And all of a sudden, for the first time, you'll see people that have thought about a second home on the Jersey Shore, realizing that Atlantic City is available at 20 cents on the dollar compared to some of the other shore towns in Jersey. So I think that this year, to do the stabilization, I think next year we're going to see some growth coming for Atlantic City. And I think by the end of 16, we're going to have lots of cranes in the sky, and we're going to be well on our way to a very exciting development and on our way down to eventually tax reduction for our taxpayers.
I'll tell you, I really agree with that assessment, because one day in the not too distant future, I'm not qualified to say when it will be, a few years from now, I don't think it's forever. A few years from now, people are going to say, you could have gotten oceanfront property in Atlantic City for what? What price? I really see that day where this rebounds very nicely, and we will have weathered this. We would not have had to go through any type of Chapter 9, and Atlantic City will once again, as she has always done, reinvent herself. Something will happen through non-gaming revenue opportunities and mixed commercial and other applicational use. And Mayor, in the final minute, I'd like you to comment on something that I have really focused on the Hurley in the Morning program as a real point of emphasis, and that is my belief that Stockton University in Atlantic City is a college town. The Rutgers, obviously, and I was at a press conference about Rutgers and Stockton doing work together, and one of the amazing doctoral programs that they're going to have together, where you can go to Stockton for part of it and Rutgers for part of it. It's really very, very exciting. I think this Stockton University Atlantic City campus, this is a game changer. It's a huge deal, I think.
There's no question. If there's one item, and I say there's no more one item for Atlantic City, but bringing in a university, and for a town with only 40,000 people, having 500 students that'll be residents this fall, with 1,500 students attending classes, and a build-up after 5 years or so of 4,000 students or more, with a few thousand as residents and people that are working at the university, actually living in this new university city that will be built around the college, I think is going to be a game changer. It's going to be a lot of excitement with the amount of people that are coming into town.
Hey, Mayor, I'm jumping in. You would know this, but you're doing the show on the road tonight. We're at the end of the program. Thanks for a great night. Thanks for keeping the appointment. We're going to reconvene with Mayor Guardian on April 21st, a Tuesday night, our next installment of Ask the Mayor. Dave Ramsey continues. I'll be back tomorrow, early in the morning at 6.
And the Savage Nation, weeknights at 9. WPG Atlantic City and WPG1450.com.